Hawkins, Indiana. To the outside world, it's a postcard of 1980s nostalgia, neon arcades, BMX bikes, and the innocent exploration of childhood. But beneath that veneer of small-town Americana lies a festering wound, a gateway to a dimension of pure, unadulterated nightmare. Over 4 seasons, we've watched a group of kids grow up in the shadow of monsters and government conspiracies. But this isn't just a story about friendship, it is a story of sacrifice. Every victory in Hawkins comes at a terrible price. Every step toward the light is shadowed by the weight of those left behind in the dark. We've seen characters we love snatched away in the blink of an eye, and others torn apart while we watched, helpless. Today, we are deconstructing the most painful, the most brutal, and the most emotionally devastating deaths in Stranger Things history. From the body-snapping horror of Vecna to the heroic sacrifices that shattered the internet. And stay tuned, because the death at number 1, it isn't just a loss. It's a hole in the heart of this fandom that may never be filled. Before the world knew about Demogorgons, there was Barbara Holland. Barb represented the grounded reality of teenage life, the loyalty and the quiet fear of being left behind. Her death in Season 1 was the catalyst for everything, but it remains one of the most tragic examples of a life discarded. Alone in that pool, abandoned by a friend who was too distracted to hear her screams, Barb's end was cold and terrifying. What made Barb's death truly painful wasn't just the monster, it was the narrative neglect. For a long time, the town and the government moved past her like she never existed. She died in a dimension of rot, her body used as a nursery for otherworldly slugs. It was a visceral reminder that in Hawkins, if you're not part of the party, you're just collateral damage. But Barb wasn't the first innocent to fall. That honor belongs to Benny Hammond. Benny was a giant with a heart to match. When he found a terrified, shorn-headed girl in his kitchen, he didn't see a weapon. He saw a hungry child. For that simple act of human kindness, he was executed by the very government sworn to protect him. Benny's death established the stakes. The monsters aren't just in the Upside Down. Sometimes they wear suits and carry silenced pistols. If Season 1 was about the shock of death, Season 2 was about the heartbreak. Bob Newby, played with earnest charm by Sean Astin, was the quintessential outsider. He didn't have powers. He wasn't a soldier. He was just a guy who loved Joyce Byers and wanted to be a good father to her sons. The tragedy of Bob's death is a masterclass in false hope. We watched him navigate a lab overrun by demo dogs, using his knowledge of BASIC to save everyone. We saw him burst through those lobby doors. He saw Joyce. They shared a smile of pure triumph. And in that 1 second of hesitation, that one moment where we thought he had made it, the world collapsed. The sight of Bob being tackled and devoured just feet away from safety is an image that still brings fans to tears. Bob didn't die in a fight. He died because he was a hero who stopped to savor the victory. He was the light in a very dark season, and Hawkins has felt a little dimmer ever since. Season 3 brought us a different kind of pain in the form of a Russian scientist who just wanted to enjoy American consumerism. Dr. Alexei, or Smirnov, became an instant fan favorite. He was a man caught between 2 superpowers, finding joy in the mundane, the taste of a Slurpee, and the thrill of a carnival game. His death is perhaps the most senseless on this list. He wasn't sacrificed for a grand plan. He was gunned down in a crowd of celebrating families because he dared to be happy. The sight of Alexei stumbling through the fair, looking down at the blood on his shirt while still clutching his prize, is devastating. He was an innocent caught in a war he didn't want to fight, reminding us that even in the brightest, neon-soaked summer, death is always lurking in the shadows. Billy Hargrove was a monster. We watched him terrorize Max and spiral into a cycle of abuse, but Season 3 turned him into something much more tragic, a vessel. The Mind Flayer hollowed him out, using his body to build a towering monstrosity of flesh. The pain of Billy's death, comes from the moment of clarity. When Eleven reaches into his memories and finds the boy on the beach, the boy who loved his mother, we see the human beneath the hate. Billy's final act, standing between the Mind Flayer and Eleven, was a suicide mission of pure redemption. The physical brutality was unmatched. He was impaled repeatedly, shredded by the very creature he served. He died looking Max in the eye, apologizing with his final breath. It proved that in Hawkins, even the villains can find their way back to the light. Even if they have to die to get there. If we're talking about purely physical pain, nothing compares to the death of Chrissy Cunningham. Season 4 took a hard turn into body horror, and Chrissy was the sacrificial lamb. She was the perfect cheerleader hiding a world of trauma, and when Vecna claimed her, it was a violation. The sounds of her limbs twisting into impossible angles and her eyes bursting. It was a level of graphic violence the show had never touched, but what made it truly painful was the emotional buildup. We saw a spark of a friendship between her and Eddie Munson, a glimpse of a life she could have had. Her death was the ultimate no-win scenario, marking the beginning of a countdown that would eventually lead to the destruction of Hawkins itself. For 4 seasons, Dr. Martin Brenner was the shadow hanging over Eleven's life. He was a captor who called himself a father. His death in the Nevada desert was a messy, desperate attempt to save his daughter from the consequences of his own hubris. Brenner's death is painful because of the emotional stalemate. Watching Eleven refuse to grant him the I love you he desperately wanted as he lay dying in the sand was a masterclass in tension. He died as he lived, trying to control a power he never understood. It was the final severance of the umbilical cord that tied Eleven to her tortured past, leaving the ghost of Papa to rot in the desert sun. And now, we reach the death that shattered the internet. Eddie Munson. Eddie wasn't just a character, he was a revolution. He was the freak, the metalhead, the dungeon master who just wanted to graduate. In a season filled with horror, Eddie was the soul. His sacrifice was the ultimate act of defiance. I didn't run away this time, right? Those words spoken to a sobbing Dustin are etched into the history of the show. Eddie's death is a double tragedy. He died a hero, but the town of Hawkins still believes he was a murderer. He died for a town that hated him. The physical pain of being torn apart by demobats was nothing compared to the weight of his passing. Seeing Dustin deliver the news to Eddie's uncle was the final twist of the knife. Eddie Munson didn't just die, he became a legend, and the show will never be the same without him. Stranger Things has never been afraid to hurt us. Each of these deaths served a purpose, pushing our heroes further and reminding us that the cost of saving the world is often paid in blood. As we look toward the final season, we have to wonder who is next. The shadows are getting longer, and Vecna isn't finished yet. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Which Stranger Things death hit you the hardest? Was it a hero like Bob or an innocent like Alexei? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the Upside Down. Stay safe, Hawkins.